Hi everyone, Anthony Fantano here, internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a weekly track roundup. My thoughts, my feelings on a bunch of music that dropped over the past week or so. We're talking about it here in this video, whether I loved it or hated it or felt somewhere in between. It's all going to be linked down below so you can check it out for yourself. Also linked down below, of course, is our Turntable Lab link. We get kickback from it if you use it to buy some records, some turntable stuff, some whatever. It supports the channel. Also supports the channel, our Patreon page. If you want to get some extra bonus monthly content and kick us a few bucks in the process, get access to our Discord community, that would be cool. Check that out as well. Also, moving on from there, our shorts page on YouTube, cool shorts content there, if you want to peep that. And without any further ado, let's get to the songs because there's a lot of tracks this week. Don't want to dwell on anything for too long. Just want to get you guys the music. Starting with the worst tracks of the week. We've got more than usual over here. Let's get through it. will.i.am. J Balvin making a very corny, clubby, poppy, rappy kind of crossover cut that, has some, frankly, unintentionally hilarious moments on it. If you're at all familiar with, the various lowlights of will.i.am's and Black Eyed Peas discography. So, if you do listen to this one, you might get a giggle out of it. Again, let's go. We have a new one from Poppy over here, the latest teaser to her forthcoming full-length LP, which I'm really not crazy about, unfortunately. Hard is the title. And I just feel like vocally, lyrically, instrumentally, it's just kind of a mess. The mix is awful. And while I do get some, kind of the noisy and industrial aesthetics that might be intentionally shot for on this track, I just don't think it's working. All right, moving on from there, we have a new one from Dolly Parton. She's doing a cover. It's a cover. It's Dolly Parton cover time. What is she covering? Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus, with Miley Cyrus on the song. So she's... what is the point? Anyway, it's a horrible cover. Let's just move on from there, please. We also have a new one from Corpse, who on this new track, Disdain, I think just found out that a lot of the girls who listen to his music are also into Deftones. So he's like, let me do a Deftones kind of track for the ladies. And it's terrible. All right, moving on from there. Also... in some artists doing a terrible version of a thing. We have Corbin, who is teaming up with Black Cray, as well as on top of that, Lil Tracy, through Lyrical Lemonade, doing like this interpolated nightmare hymn version of Blink-182's I Miss You. We don't need this. We really don't need this. This did not need to happen. I appreciate in some respects that pop punk stuff is coming back and, it's having a really strong resurgence, but I feel like we're really just blowing it in in terms of bringing it back in such a way that actually makes it, cool and exciting and serves as a reminder of what made that era of music so, neat and passionate and what made it work. I just feel like we're kind of, instead of tributing in a way that is tasteful and faithful to what made this stuff great, we're just kind of egotistically shitting on it. And just, again, doing an awful job of reinterpreting it. But there you go. All right. Steve Aoki, Paris Hilton, Lighter. Should be no surprise that this sucks. And we also have a video game soundtrack song from 21 Savage, Call Me Revenge, David on the song too, corny chorus on the track, very average Savage verses, but it's a Call of Duty thing. He's pulling up for the check. It makes sense. All right, let's move on to the tracks that I was not crazy about, but still wanted to shout out. You might like them more than me. They are as follows. New one from Wu-Tang Clan, but it's really just like a Method Man and Ghostface track with some decent verses on it, but the production is bland. The sung chorus feels really out of place. I don't know what kind of project or whatever this is leading to. I don't want to know because it doesn't really seem like a faithful Wu-Tang project or anything like that. Like if Method and Ghost were going to do a song like this, why not just make it a Method and Ghost track? Whatever. It's okay. Wu-Tang fans may want to take notice. Check it out. Moving on from there, we have Meek Mill and Rick Ross teaming up once again on a brand new single. They have a new record on the way. Lyrical Easy is the name of the cut. And, it is kind of too good to be true because it starts off with a great pace, fantastic chemistry between Meek and Rick, pretty decent instrumental too, but then it just ends out of nowhere. It's too short. What's going on? I thought we were getting like a nice quality banger. I liked it even more than the Shaq and Kobe track, but then it just kind of finishes abruptly, and it's like, well, okay, it really is too good to be true, I guess. Moving on from there, Rachel Chinariri dropping a pretty decent little indie rock cut. I like the tune, but I think the aesthetics and guitar tone and so on and so forth of the track kind of bland, honestly. Though she has been going in this indie direction for a bit, and if she does continue to go further down this road, I'm just kind of hoping for better production going forward. I'll say that. All right, we have a new one from Mannequin Pussy over here, hitting us with some very light, soft grunge pastiche on this new cut. I Don't Know You. It's okay. I mean, I feel like it's going to scratch some itches for somebody who's maybe a little nostalgic for the 90s, I suppose. We have a new one from Jungkook, The Kid LAROI, Central C. Central C hitting us with some interesting lines over here. Recommending his girl make sure that she brings her antidepressants as they go on a trip. Mental health king, guys. Mental health king. Not a bad rap and pop crossover. The thing that kind of struck me, though, was how many of the vocal lines seemed quite Bieber-esque. Bieber actually has a writing credit on the song. I don't know how this kind of came to be or anything, but yeah, it just kind of sounds like a Bieber track, but Bieber's not actually on it. And I suppose in the grander scheme of things, it's not a bad one at that. We could leave it there. I think it's one of the Kid LAROI's better cuts too. All right, we have a new one from Kevin Abstract, who is really teasing toward this new full-length LP of his, where it seems he's going in more of a guitar-centric direction on this new cut over here, more of an indie folk sort of thing. I feel like there's going to be a lot of Brockhampton fans that don't receive this well, mostly because this is not what they expect. If somebody like, I don't know, Dominic Fike dropped a song like this, or maybe even Alex G, I don't know. I feel like there'd be a lot of people who'd be messing with it. But because it's Kevin Abstract, maybe not as much. I think the tune is there. The production is a little rough around the edges, a little bland. What Should I Do is the name of the cut. It's okay. It's all right. I think it's passable, and I think it's interesting that Kevin is flirting with this sort of stuff. And, I guess we'll see how it fully turns out when we hear the entire record. All right, we have a new one from J-Rock. Kind of disappointed in this new song, honestly. I feel like lyrically he does really well on the cut, but the production is pretty average. And Ab Soul, while he does feature on the song, all he does is deliver this really lethargic chorus that is completely unmemorable and sort of ruins the whole momentum of the track. Again, passable, but could have been a lot better. All right, moving on from there, Evian Christ continues to spoil us with new material on this new track. A surprise feature from none other than Blade. It is drained, but yet also is very heavy and very, I'll say, intense at points sonically. Kind of feels like something that you would play during the peak of a rave. But again, still has kind of those weird little gender fluid drained aesthetics, I suppose you could say. It's cool. It's decent. Does it go as hard as I think it could? There are a few crescendo or peak points that I think could have gone longer. I feel like it doesn't go far enough, possibly. When it does build up, the drop and the gratification of, kind of that tension being released isn't quite there. But, it is an interesting crossover all the same. All right, we have a new one from Charli XCX, who is teaming up with Sam Smith on this new cut over here. I don't know, guys. I feel like, between the last record and some of the new material, Charli is pretty much signaling to us she just wants to come out with straightforward pop music at this point. This one over here, In the City, is just some very direct, so-so dance pop without much flavor or seasoning on the instrumental side. And what's strange is Charli and Sam have made some truly interesting and some kind of cutting edge and slightly weird music, each of them respectively in the past. And as a result of that, like, I'm kind of surprised that they didn't kind of, embrace and enhance that side of each other's, artistic personalities. Instead, I feel like they came together on, one of the most predictable, formulaic songs that you could possibly imagine between the both of them. And the result is, All right, moving on from there. 2 Chainz has teamed up with Lil Wayne. For fans of each, that should be no surprise considering these two have a collaborative album that they came out with in the past. They have basically the sequel to that record coming out very soon. Pressure is the title of the track. And, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. I think it's a bit of a one-dimensional banger as it doesn't really switch up all that much on the chorus. And, the beat is just kind of one single thing, but I feel like, respectively, each of them bring a lot of personality to the track, and they have a good enough level of chemistry to make this song and this forthcoming project worth checking out. Welcome to Coal Grove, that thing. All right, moving on from there. Bad Bad Not Good has crossed over with Charlotte Day Wilson's Sleeper, kind of a very low-key, blue-eyed soul kind of cut, and I just wish it had more teeth to it, but it is pleasant to listen to, that's for sure. All right, best tracks of the week. We have quite a few of those. Let us run through them. Want to do a quick shout out to the new Sampha album. A song from it is linked down below. I'm going to review it this week. Not going to say too much about the song or the album generally, but I am loving what I am hearing. I implore that you guys listen to the record too before I fully sink my teeth into it, because, again, what I'm hearing so far is fire. All right, we have a new one from Ali Sethi and Nicolas Jaar, who have a collab album coming out very soon. And, this one I feel like is far superior to the last track where they crossed over. I'm really loving, the cross-cultural kind of blend of sounds and influences on this cut. I feel like Nicolas Jaar's production, while more subtle and more ambient on this track, is a lot more complementary and more texture rich on this one. I think the vocal performance is stunning. Nazar is the name of the cut, and it's just gorgeous and quite mystical too. All right, moving on from there. Maruja, this band who I've talked about on the channel before, specifically like in a Great Albums video, because they came out with like this mini album or like EP project that was quite good. They've got, elements of like art rock and post-punk to their music. If you're a big fan of something like Black Country New Road, you'll probably, mess with what these guys are doing. They have a new track, a brand new single out titled One Hand Behind the Devil. And it's just like really intense, fiery art rock with a great saxophone passage and, cool lead vocals as well that are very, 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 spoken word style, super poetic lyrics, intense performance all around. Really psyched to, see these guys continuing to push forward and put out some fire stuff. All right, liking this new Kurt Vile track, despite the fact that I'm not usually a huge fan. I'm not usually stunned by a lot of Kurt's music or his new material, but this track over here, the piano leads, the very direct lead vocals, and lyrics, and kind of, the cute allusions to it being another good year for roses, kind of won me over. They were heartwarming. They were sweet. It was endearing. I think actually one of Kurt's most endearing singles ever. Check it out if you're, at all into folk or folk rock or indie folk for sure. All right. Also, Uchis, new record on the way. We have a taste of it that goes in like a sultry Latin jazz direction with a strong lead vocal component to it as well. I think one of her strongest vocal performances on a solo track ever, honestly. And I'm just liking kind of the throwback, beautiful instrumentation on the song. Temata is the name of the song, and I'm hoping that we hear more like this on the forthcoming record, that's for sure. Dropping in January. New Uchis album in January. Keeping us fed, not making us wait for another record, as she just dropped one this year, so pretty pumped for that. All right, moving on from there, we have a new one over here as well from Jockstrap. Good Girl is the title of it. The duo has a record on the way that is essentially like a remix album of material from their last LP. This one over here is going to go hard at the Weirdo Rave, that's for sure. I'm guaranteeing it. Check it out. The dance grooves are incredible. All right, we have Motorbreath. Imperial Triumphant. Now, Imperial Triumphant, avant-garde metal band from New York. They have been doing a lot of covers lately. This time, obviously, Metallica cover. And look, some of these covers I have raised an eyebrow at, not been crazy about. This one in particular, though, I'm loving. I think it's fire. And not necessarily because I think it's like, you know, an incredible version of the song itself. It's really more about the super intense, linear, and chaotic and noisy performance that the band lays out here. I mean, you know, if not for the first leg of the track, this could have been an original and I would have been into it. And they take so many liberties with it as they're kind of progressing the song. It kind of does feel like more original than it does cover at some at some points. So it's really kind of like the ways in which they twist their version here that kind of won me over, honestly. But, you know, I would check it out. It's pretty goddamn insane. All right, we have a Dancer, new one from Idols, which apparently features James and Nancy from LCD Soundsystem. And, yeah, you know, it's kind of everything that I would expect a crossover between Idols and LCD Soundsystem to be, in terms of it having, like, you know, those dance grooves, that linear sort of form, but simultaneously those very gruff and distorted and aggressive punk elements that Idols are known for. And I think, you know, all around it goes over, excuse me, really well. Incredibly well, in fact. All right, we have a new one from Frost Children over here, who are delivering to us like a really surprisingly aggressive, explosive, and mathy kind of new rock track that again, I didn't really know the duo was capable of like pulling off this kind of vibe. Stare at the Sun is the title of the cut. Moving on from there, Floating Points has come out with a new track. If you're really into techno, if you're really into just heady, unending grooves, you're going to want to check this one out. Birth 4000 is the name of this one. It is fire too. Tantor, Danny Brown, new track, Quaranta on the way, Alchemist production. Crazy prog rock loop going on in the instrumental. Danny Brown sounding is unhinged as ever. I think he's just pretty much trying to solidify, like, at this point, like, yeah, it may be like over a decade since my breakout mixtape, but I'm still a fucking nut job. That's basically what this song is trying to say in a nutshell. Liking it. We did a review of it over on the Fantano channel. Check it out. Also, shout out to Clairo, who has come through with a new single, the proceeds of which is going to Doctors Without Borders. And from what I understand is, you know, pretty much like in response to everything terrible going on right now over in Gaza, over in the West Bank right now, Israel, Palestine. I'm sure you guys have been watching the news. And yeah, you know, good on Clairo for dropping this cool, emotional, you know, little acoustic demo-ish type cut, raising some funds. Very awesome. Very sweet. Moving on from there, we have a new one from Caroline Polachek. Dang, brand new track. It is a quirked up banger. Quirked up banger. Weirdest production I've ever heard on a Caroline Polachek song. A bridge where she just screams like for a minute straight. Also, is her hand a goose? This, dang, man. This is odd, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I'm completely loving it. All right, moving on from there. beabadoobee, Laufey, A Night to Remember. If you guys follow the channel, you know I'm not like a massive fan of either artist here. You know, I'm not taking a bullet for no beabadoobee record or Laufey record for that matter. However, they sound incredible on this new cut over here, which is this like lush, jazzy, bossa nova type cut, type single that's super just elegant and passionate. And I feel like, you know, not only is it the best and most impressive instrumental palette either of them have ever been on, like, respectively, like, you know, considering both of their solo material, but also I feel like their vocals complement each other really well on this track too, really reinforce each other in, you know, a way that kind of turns up the heat, turns up the passion, and I'm liking it a lot. It's sounding great. It's sounding fantastic, honestly. Finally, I want to give a quick shout out also to the new Anna Frango Elétrico record, which is out now. Going to review this one very soon too. Not going to talk too much about it. Just going to, you know, take this track, Boy of Stranger Things, link it down below. Check it out for yourself. It's super fun. It's awesome. Excited to talk about this and other tracks on the record when I do get a review out for this this week. And that is pretty much going to be that. Weekly track roundup, everybody. Thank you very much for watching. Love you. Over here next to my head, another video you can check out. That and music, internet. Yeah. Mwah. Forever.